back in January, I started a mega countdown series where I ranked tons of coasters very quickly with just a few sentences of reasoning. It's been since April since I did one, so I'm bringing it back with a more unknown chain. I present to you one of my biggest videos yet, every Parques Reunidos coaster ranked. Just a heads up, I have only ridden 6 of the 84 coasters on this list. Also, I may have missed a Kiddie coaster, so if you find one I missed, leave it in the comments down below. These are only 4 currently operating coasters, and most of this chain is small family parks, with Kennywood being the most thrilling. Also, a lot of these coasters are from foreign countries, so I might not be able to pronounce all the names. With all that said, let's rank all of these coasters. 84. Dvergbanen. This is the smallest roller coaster I've ever seen. Located at Tusenfyrd in Norway is this small roller coaster. This ride is embarrassing for a kiddie coaster, with no drop, a circle layout, and a short ride. There is no valley to this kiddie coaster. 83. Huracanito. Again, another embarrassingly small kiddie coaster. This one is a bit tighter of a circle and actually has a drop, even if it is only 3 feet. 82. Padrinos Voladores. This coaster, located in Madrid, is a small inverted coaster. It does absolutely nothing other than a few unbanked turns at a small speed. All of these kiddie coasters are almost too small. Rides like Great Pumpkin coasters seem like dragster compared to these rides. 81. Kiddie coaster. Finally, a coaster with a name I can pronounce. This ride, located at Lake Compounce, is another ridiculously small coaster. It is placed in a section of overgrown plants and is smaller than the previously mentioned Great Pumpkin coaster. It also has a weaker layout than the mentioned Kings Island ride. Number 80, Taxi Number 1. Number 79, Paw Patrol. These rides are tied because they are the exact same ride and one is not better than the other. These kiddie coasters have more value than the previous ones, but are still very small and uncomfortable in some of the helices. Also, these Zamperla gravity coasters are everywhere. 78, Lil Phantom. As much as it pains me to put one of the most memed coasters at 77, I had to. The ride has nothing special to it except being a meme. It is just like the previous but in a more forested location. 77, La Prado Express. 76, Joust. These coasters are basically bigger versions of these Zamperla gravity coasters. Once again, these are the exact same rides except one is in Pennsylvania and one is in Italy. They provide a taller layout for a kiddie coaster, but still shorter than most other kiddie rides. They are the most thrilling so far, though. 75, Smurf Village Express. This Motiongate roller coaster is more of a family coaster, meaning we are finally getting into bigger kiddie rides. This coaster, however, is always high off the ground, meaning even for a taller kiddie ride, it is too slow for people above 7 to enjoy. 74, Hundeprutten. Brilliant name aside, look it up after this video, this ride has nothing special. This incredible theme is the only redeeming quality of this otherwise short and slow kiddie coaster. 73, Backyardigans Mission to Mars. 72, Merlin's Revenge. These two rides are also tied for having similar settings and the exact same layouts and trains. It is another small kiddie coaster, but a bit taller and faster than the ones listed before. 71, Mine Train. 70, Mine Train Coaster. 69, Steampunk Chasers. We now have a 3-way tie against the classic Vekoma kiddie coasters. These are everywhere and are all clones of Woodstock Express at Cedar Point, shown in this POV. All of these rides have cloned layouts with some forceful moments and a faster paced experience. We are now getting into the bad thrill coasters and family coasters. 68, Coaster Express. Even though this Park Warner Madrid coaster is the longest wooden coaster in Europe, it is known for being one of the roughest roller coasters in the world. The ride is a tall and boring wooden coaster with slow turns and brutally rough valleys. To make matters worse, these valleys never end because of how long this awful RCCA coaster is. 67, MP Express. This is the only SLC in the chain, and I don't really think I need to explain why this is this low. Located at Movie Park in Germany is the standard SLC with a boring setting over concrete, bulky restraints, and rough transitions. All SLCs are bad with these restraints, and MP Express is no different. 66, Bandit. Another movie park coaster and another RCCA. This ride, which is a clone of the Coney Island Cyclone, is a ride similar to Coaster Express, just not as long, fast, or tall, making it a better experience. Everything else remains the same here though. It is still a brutally rough and boring experience and needs to be RMC'd. 65, Wildcat. Why is every Wildcat bad? We are nearing the end of the bad thrill coasters. Here is another Woody from Lake Compounce, which is near the same as the previous Bandit, just not as long. The ride has a ton of jackhammering, no force, and way too many jolts. Even with retracking, this ride could not be saved. 64. Polar Coaster. From a weird manufacturer comes a unique family coaster. Polar Coaster is a Hopkins family coaster that might seem pretty small at first sight because, well, it is. But overall, it has a unique layout with some tight turns and a great setting. 63. Little Dragon's Flight. This small little family coaster is a clone of Freedom Flyer at Fun Spot. This version of the ride is much less thrilling than the ones like Dragon Flyer, but are still fun little coasters. They take place high off the ground and have unique layouts with tight turns. 62. Oki Doki. Even though this is classified as a Vekoma Junior coaster, it is one of the most unique and fun junior coasters of all time. It has a sprawling layout over the park and has some bigger drops than most other kiddie coasters. 61. Victor Van Dorm. This coaster is similar to the other Zero family coasters, but this one is just a hair worse. It has a less intense layout and isn't as fast-paced as the others, and also has a few weird jolts, making this ride a bit more uncomfortable. 60. Tom and Jerry. Speaking of the other Zero family coasters, this is the more traditional layout. Mentioned in the previous pick, these are more fast-paced, have tight layouts, and have very long trains for some reason. 59. Dragon Gliders. This ride is a spinning inverted power coaster, similar to Arthur at Europa Park. This ride is old dark ride except for a small portion of coaster inside a building which is heavily themed and looks to be one of the best themed coasters of all time. 58. Studio Tour. This movie park Germany coaster is more of a dark ride. The only coaster section is the outdoor portion with a small drop and a small backward section inside. The rest is a tour of a movie studio with interesting props and screens. 57. Zoomerang. This Lake Compounce boomerang is just a typical boomerang. I've ridden 3 and can say that with the bulkier restraints you're in for a rougher ride. It's not unbearable but also not comfortable. It's overall forceful but nothing special as they are everywhere. 56. Rexplorer. This looks like one of the better powered coasters out there. It isn't as themed but is higher off the ground and in a great setting, causing for a more thrilling experience. It is still a powered coaster so it can't be that great though. 55. Bob Express. Bob Express is a bit of a longer powered coaster. It is still a powered coaster, so it can't be too great, but it has a great setting over the water and some quick bank turns. 54. Revolution. This ride isn't the most thrilling. It is all indoors and just has a few turns after a long spiral lift hill. However, the strobing lights and blasting music make it feel more chaotic and a more thrilling experience. 53. Vertigo. 52. Ghost Chasers, and 51. Speedy Bob. All of these coasters are Wild Mouse coasters with the exact same layout and similar settings. Speedy Bob actually used to be a dueling mouse coaster, but the dueling side was relocated and is now Vertigo at Parque de Atracciones. These rides have some nice turns but are typically uncomfortable and have a slower speed compared to some of the other Wild Mouse coasters. 50. Gold Digger. This Miribilandia Wild Mouse has a very similar layout to the ones listed previously, but is manufactured by L&T instead of Mach. These L&T mouse coasters are much more fast-paced, causing for a lot more intense laterals on the turns. 49. Wild Mouse. This Vekoma Wild Mouse is one of the rarest and most unique credits in the world. This is the best Wild Mouse listed so far because of the unique layout, tilted lift hill, fast-paced experience, and comfortable turns. 48. Rollo Coaster. Located at the same park, Idlewild, is this family wooden coaster. It takes a fast-paced experience through the trees with a smooth experience and even has some airtime. Overall, it's very short and boring, but it has some redeeming qualities. 47. Kingdom Coaster. This wooden coaster at Dutch Wonderland was actually CCI's first coaster. It is similar to the last one but with a stronger finale, more forceful experience, and longer ride. Even with it being shakier, it is still overall a better experience. 46. Demos Race. This is one of the more unique coasters. This single-rail dueling coaster has a controllable speed for intense racing action. It has some tight turns, which unfortunately can't be too intense based on that controlled speed, but it has a unique ride experience making it worthy of the top 50. 45. Jimmy Neutron's Atomic Flyer. This family coaster is similar to Kitty Hawk, but has a more thrilling layout that is lower to the ground. It also has much better restraints, causing for a smoother ride. This, plus some feet choppers, make it a great family coaster. 44. Huracanitos Bip Bip. This ride, translating to Roadrunner Beep Beep in English, is a pretty large family coaster. It takes place higher off the ground but has some big drops. Overall, it is a smooth and fun family coaster. 43. Cobra Dace Amun La. This ride is very similar to the previous. It takes place high off the ground with a thrilling and fast-paced experience. This one, however, got rid of the setting and placed for more fast-paced elements, which is a great trade. 42. TNT Tren de la Mina. This ride, located at Parque de Atracciones, takes both of the previous ride's strong points, like fast pacing, taller family coaster, and great setting, and combines it into one great family coaster. 41. Master Tie. Speaking of great family coasters, Miribilandia's Master Tie is one of them. While it is a bit jerky, it has a fast-paced layout with some tight turns. It is also a Mobius loop, causing for dueling elements and a long ride time. 40. Merlin's Mayhem. This ride is similar to the other Vekoma family inverted coaster we've discussed. This ride, however, is a bit more intense, fast-paced, and is a longer experience. It is also manufactured by S&S, which is known for making more extreme coasters than Vekoma. Overall, this ride is one of the best family coasters in the world. 39. Supersplash. This water coaster is one of the weaker water coasters. Most water coasters have an intense coaster section like the one we'll see coming up. The ride only has a small drop and a slow turn before the main drop. It has a thrilling tunnel and splash, but is weaker than most other coasters. 38. Screamin' Demon. This coaster, located at Castle Park in California, is a standard spinning mouse. These mouse coasters still provide the laterals, but also have some crazy spinning turns in the second half. This spinning makes it much more thrilling than the other wild mouse coasters. 37. Exterminator. This Kennywood roller coaster is a clone of the previous Screamin' Demon. It has a standard spinning mouse coaster layout with the fun spinning and laterals. But this ride has some unique theming, crazy lighting, and is overall a much better experience than any other spinning mouse. 36. Racer. This Kennywood coaster is a unique woody. I can say firsthand that it is one of the smoothest wooden coasters I've experienced. It has the racing aspect with some good floater, but none of it really strong. Overall, it is a fun starter coaster that gets people used to the feeling of airtime. 35. Divertical. This was the other water coaster I was talking about. After a tall elevator lift hill and large drop, the ride takes a splash and goes through the coaster section, ending with a big drop into one of the wettest splashes ever on a coaster. This ride is overall a fantastic water coaster. 34. Hankatten. This spinning coaster is similar to the Pandemonium clones, with the seats facing each other. This ride, however, is a much more intense and longer experience. This is a clone of Joker at Six Flags Mexico. Overall, this ride is one of the best spinning coasters in the world. 33. Naga Bay. This spinning coaster has the seats facing away, which is definitely preferred to the seats on Hankatten. This ride has a sprawling layout with a long duration. It also has a beautiful setting in the woods, making it one of the best spinning coasters. 32. Tarantula. This is an even better spinning coaster than Naga Bay. This is because of the comfortable experience, massive lift and drop, and tight turns. This causes a lot of crazy spinning and many intense moments. 31. Green Hornet. This Motiongate Gerslauer bobsled is very similar to a wild mouse with the crazy lateral-filled turns. However, this ride also has some thrilling coaster sections with some incredible head choppers. It also has tight valleys with some great positives. The only thing lacking is the setting in the concrete jungle. 30. Tornado. This intimate invert is known for being a rougher ride, but still has some great moments. The invert in Finland has better reviews, but Tornado still has some forceful inversions like the loop and corkscrew. It is also set in a beautiful setting of the woods. 29. Drachenritt. This ride takes all the great things going on with Green Hornet, like the great turns, tight valleys, and force, and adds an incredible theme and setting. The ride dives through castle-like structures and has some great head choppers as well. 28. Dreamcatcher. This ride is a Vekoma swinging coaster, the same model as the Bat. However, this ride is much longer than the Bat, and also has a lot of more back and forth swinging rather than one drawn-out swing. The ride is high up with some crazy swinging and is in a great setting over the water. It also has floorless trains for great foot choppers. 27. Huracan. This Eurofighter by many is called great, but by others is called very rough. This ride has the smaller trains, making some of the transitions more violent, but the inversions are very, very whippy, and it has some incredible airtime moments in whip. Overall, the ride's pros beat out the jerkier experience. 26. Van Helsing's Factory. This movie park coaster seems like a normal indoor ride at first, but after a lift hill and some show scenes, there are two intense coaster sections. These are very intense drops and turns in complete darkness, making it impossible to see which crazy transitions are coming next. 25. Jackrabbit. This Kennywood wooden coaster is one of the smoothest coasters I've ridden. Overall, the hilly and wooded setting adds to the unique layout. I also can't forget the double down, which provides some insane airtime with the buzz bar restraints. 24. Lupin. This Vekoma roller coaster is actually one of the smoother according to people who've ridden it. It has some incredible force in the turns and a great vertical loop. 23. Madagascar Mad Pursuit. This ride has a great start. After an indoor pre-show, the ride launches straight into a few rapid-fire transitions and turns. It looks very intense and whippy with the strobing lights. And then the ride enters at the plaza before going back into the darkness. After this, the ride winds around in a few tight turns, but ends up being pretty boring. If the ride continued at its strong first half, it definitely would have made the top 15. 22. Thunderbolt. This wooden coaster is another great terrain ride. It actually doesn't allow single riders because of the crazy turn in the second half. Along with some great laterals and hills, the ride also has a few airtime moments and intense valleys. 21. Capital Bullet Train. This mock shuttle launch coaster is not very well known. It looks like a smaller version of Copperhead Strike, just with a quick backward spike causing some cool negatives. The loop is full of hang time and the rest of the ride is fast-paced and whippy, just like the other mock launches. 20. Vildsvinet. Even though this was the first ever Eurofighter, it still holds up. It has a unique layout but has a lot of force with an interesting paint scheme. It flies through the short layout and pulls some great force in the turns and especially that tight vertical loop. 19. Thundercoaster. Like some other Woodies on this list, this Vekoma Woody relies heavily on terrain around Tusenfyrd. It can get a bit rough, but the phenomenal setting and great layout make up for it. The long ride is paced well with some good parts of airtime, quick turns, and intense drops. 18. Typhoon. This early Eurofighter is one of the most unique ones. It has the typical beyond vertical drop and intense loop, but the rest of the ride is unique. It has turns taking place high above the ground and many hang time filled heartline rolls. It also has some quick drops and a very intense helix to end the ride. 17. Goldrush. This unknown Gerstlauer is located at Slagharen in the Netherlands. It has a quick backwards portion before rocketing up and through the layout. The layout provides whips, fast-paced turns, inversions, and a giant airtime pop before entering back into the station. 16. Batman. This Batman clone is located at Parque Warner Madrid in Spain. It, just like every other Batman clone, is very forceful and smooth. This one also has some good theming to go along with it. While short, the whippy corkscrews and intense loops make this one of the most overlooked inverts. 15. Superman. Another B&M located at the same park. This B&M floorless is also overlooked, even though it has a great layout. After a straight drop with airtime in the back row, the ride enters the typical floorless coaster inversions while providing some great force. After the interlocking corkscrews, the ride enters two helixes, which provides the positives, separated by a surprise pop of floater airtime. 14. Dragon's Run. This B&M sit-down used to operate in Myrtle Beach, but was moved to Vietnam when the park closed down. It now operates in one of the prettiest settings of any coaster. It also has a straight drop out of pre-lift, causing for some great floater airtime. The rest of the inversions and elements are intense, especially that vertical loop. 13. Roar-O-Saurus. This ride is incredible for being so small. Standing below the trees is this gravity group with incredible airtime that never ends. It has an ending that can rival Steel Vengeance and is only 20 seconds in length. The pacing is outstanding. Number 12. Abysmo. This is one of the weirdest rides ever. After a vertical lift, the lift hill turns upside down before diving down a drop. After a tight overbank and a massive camelback, the ride enters the station. Overall, Abysmo is a bizarre but forceful coaster. 11. Steel Curtain. Steel Curtain, in my opinion, is a bit too overrated. Even with the hype, it is still a great ride. It has some incredible hang time in the beginning, and it really has some speed. The speed is there throughout the whole ride, and the pacing never stops. While it is a bit forceless, it does have a whippy moment in that sea serpent roll. Number 10. Phobia Fear. This is just like a typical Skyrocket 2, but instead of the dreaded comfort collars, this ride has lap bars. These lap bars make it possible to enjoy the tall, fast, and hang time filled ride experience. 9. Skyrocket. The original Skyrocket at Kennywood isn't looked at enough. The second half is painfully slow and boring, but that first half has some great force. The launch and drop are incredible, and the inversion is full of whip. Those overbanks and low to the ground turns are also very forceful. 8. Star Trek Operation Enterprise. After a forceless shuttle launch, because, mock launches, Star Trek enters its fast-paced layout. It has a wacky drop into a series of rapid-fire transitions, inversions, and airtime moments. 7. Stuntfall. Vekoma gets hated on for their boomerangs, but the giant inverted boomerangs, Stuntfall included, manage to be very smooth and very terrifying. This is due to the vertical lift hill drop and massive inversions, providing an incredible amount of force. 6. Katun. Katun at Miribilandia always makes people's list. This is one of the biggest inverted roller coasters in the world and has one of the best layouts. From the huge drop through the trees, tunnels, whippy corkscrew, and very intense valleys, Katun is one of my biggest bucket list coasters. 5. Fury. Fury is the only coaster in the world where people can vote to ride backwards or forwards. This shuttle launch coaster is incredible. After the shuttle launch, riders enter a series of inversions with some hang time, a lot of whip, and a lot of airtime. Fury has something every enthusiast will enjoy. 4. Boulder Dash. Overall, Boulder Dash is everything the Beast wished it could have been. The ride absolutely rockets through the woods of Lake Compounce with a relatively smooth experience. Every hill and turn provides airtime and laterals, and each valley has some great force as well. 3. Speed Monster. This crazy intimate accelerator in Norway is definitely a terrain coaster. The coaster hugs the mountainside as it goes through some unique inversions, including a Norwegian loop. The launch is forceful with hydraulics, and the ride has some incredible transitions and whip. It also has a few great airtime moments. 2. iSpeed. Not a terrain coaster, but an even better intimate accelerator. This ride is longer, taller, faster, and much more intense than Speed Monster. Everything Speed Monster did well is taken and mashed together with iSpeed, creating an even more intense, even whippier, and better coaster. Number 1. Phantom's Revenge. Finally, the number 1 coaster in the chain is Phantom's Revenge. Phantom is an absolute insane coaster. It is over 200 feet tall with the drop and dives down a ravine. The speed is crazy enough, but the ending provides rapid-fire airtime moments where riders are almost standing. It almost doesn't feel safe with how intense and powerful this ride actually is. And that is every Parques Reunidos coaster ranked. Hopefully you learned about some new coasters. If you enjoyed, leave a like and subscribe. Comment what the best coaster in the chain is for you, and have a great rest of your day.